All right, so today we're going to dive into OpenAI's new model, O1.
Okay.
And you've probably seen the headlines, heard the buzz, but we're going to kind of go a little deeper, see what's going on, why it matters. We've got a great mix of sources for this. We've got a newsletter from One More Thing in AI. And this is packed with real-world examples. We've got some developer reactions just straight from social media. And then, of course, we have to get OpenAI's take on it. So we've got their blog as well. So what exactly is O1? I mean, it's got to be more than just another AI, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see the headlines and you hear like, "Oh, it's really good." But this newsletter really digs into the specifics. So it's not just good at doing the things that AI usually does. It's like blowing the doors off traditional AI performance in programming, math, and even science.
The newsletter mentioned it scored 89% on code forces. What is that a big deal?
Yeah, Codeforce is it's where programmers go head to head. It's like a competition website to solve really tough problems. So for it to rank that high means it's competing with, some pretty serious human talent.
Wow.
And it's not just that. This model also landed in the top 500 of the AME. That's the American Invitational Mathematics Examination. It's a ridiculously difficult math competition for high schoolers. And get this, it's even outperforming. Like straight up, it's outperforming the scores of PhD students on some science tests.
Really? Wow. Like PhD students. So what does that mean? Like, what are the implications of something like that?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it raises some fascinating questions about like the future of research.
Yeah.
Could AI start to take on, more prominent roles in scientific discovery? Could it accelerate the pace of breakthroughs? I don't know, but it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think. So how is it doing all of this? How is it pulling off these feats? The newsletter mentioned something called chain of thought reasoning. And that sounds pretty different from how I thought AI worked.
Yeah, so most language models, I think it's helpful to think of them like superpowered pattern matchers. So they're trained on these massive data sets, and they learn to just kind of predict the next word in a sequence. But O1 is trained differently. Instead of just, churning through data like that, it's actually being taught to think step by step, to break down problems into smaller pieces, more manageable chunks, just like a human would.
So instead of just giving you an answer, it's actually like
Hmm.
reasoning through the process.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really exciting, right? Because this approach, it could make O1 potentially a successor to the transformer model, which is like the current leading architecture for AI development.
Okay, hold on. Back up for a second. What's the transformer model? And why is replacing it such a big deal?
Yeah, so the transformer model, it was a big deal. It was a major breakthrough in AI. And it powers, a
Yeah.
lot of things we see today, like large language models. But O1, with its chain of thought reasoning, could be like a step beyond that.
Hmm.
So imagine if O1 can apply like this human-like reasoning
Hmm.
to all sorts of different problems.
Okay, so I'm starting to see why everyone's so hyped about O1. This newsletter is full of real world examples that are.
Yeah.
I don't know, they seem pretty mind blowing. I mentioned building a full weather app for iPhone in under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's impressive. There's also the newsletter talks about how it coded a scientific calculator in an HTML file in 5 minutes, and then
Yeah.
there's examples of it designing retro sci-fi video games, even generating art using Illustrator scripts. So
Right.
the speed and versatility is pretty remarkable.
Yeah. It's like suddenly anyone could be a programmer or a game developer.
So.
I don't know. But I mean, these examples, they almost feel too good to be true. Is there a catch?
Well,
No.
you have to remember that O1 is still in its early stages. Right now, it's in a preview mode.
And OpenAI is being very cautious about how they roll it out.
So they're taking their time, making sure they get it right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's still hard not to get excited about the potential here. So what stood out to you from the developer reactions on social media?
I mean, there's definitely a sense of awe, like
Yeah.
they're witnessing like a turning point in AI
Mhm.
development. A lot of them are, already brainstorming ways to
Yeah.
use O1 in their own projects, which is exciting to see.
Yeah. It feels like the possibilities are almost endless, right? And what I think is so fascinating to me is this chain of thought reasoning. It changes the game. Are we seeing that in other AI models right now?
It's still a relatively new approach, and O1 is really pushing the boundaries there. But
Yeah.
what's intriguing is it doesn't seem to rely on the massive data set
See, here,
that we see. Kind of be the hallmark of AI training until now. Right, the newsletter mentioned that. So instead of just feeding it more data, they're they're training it in a more focused, strategic way.
Yeah, exactly. It's about quality over quantity, I guess. They're teaching it to think critically
Yeah.
rather than just memorizing patterns, which is a big departure from, the traditional brute force approach.
That's pretty remarkable. It seems like OpenAI is really onto something special with O1 here.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what about OpenAI's own blog post? Did they shed any more light on O1?
So the blog post you shared, it focuses on learning to reason with LLMs. And remember, LLMs are
Yeah.
large language models, and they're basically the foundation of AI systems like O1. And they go pretty deep, into the technical aspects of how they're training these models to reason more effectively.
Okay, so it's more for the technically minded folks who want to,
Yeah.
Get in the weeds and understand the nuts and bolts.
Exactly. But even if you're not, a programmer or anything, it's worth, I think it's worth skimming through it to get a sense of, the thought process and the research behind O1's development.
All right, so we've covered the exciting stuff, the performance, the potential applications, the chain of thought breakthrough.
Yeah.
But what about the other side of the coin? Are there any potential downsides or concerns with something this powerful?
I mean, that's a crucial question, and it's one that OpenAI is taking very seriously. That they're actively working on, safeguards and guidelines to ensure, responsible development and deployment of O1. I mean, remember, this technology is still in its infancy. We're all learning as we go here. So
a healthy dose of caution is in order.
Yeah, I think so.
What would you say to our listeners who might be wondering, how O1 could affect their lives? I mean, the potential impact is huge. Imagine personalized education tailored to your exact learning style.
Yeah.
Or faster scientific discoveries.
Yeah.
Maybe even cures for diseases that we thought were incurable. We can even see, entirely new industries emerge that we can't even imagine yet.
Yeah, that's true. It's mind-boggling to think about all the ways that this could change things, but with all this talk about O1's potential, it's easy to get carried away, right? What are some things we should be watching for as this technology develops?
That's a great point. It's important to remember that O1 is still a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for less desirable purposes. And OpenAI is definitely aware of this, and they're working to address those potential challenges.
They're thinking about the ethical implications as they go.
Right.
That's good. So what would you say is the biggest takeaway for our listeners today? I think the key message is that O1 represents a significant leap forward in AI. It's not just hype. It's a genuine game changer. Yeah. And it has the potential to, really reshape countless aspects of our lives.
And as O1 continues to evolve, it's up to all of us to stay informed, ask the tough questions, and ensure its development aligns with our values.
Absolutely. We need to be active participants in shaping the future of AI, not just passive observers.
Well said. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. What's one question you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Well, if O1 is already achieving these remarkable results in its early stages, imagine what it could be capable of in, 5, 10, even 20 years. How will it transform our world, our work, even ourselves?
That's a powerful question. And as we wrap up our deep dive into O1, we encourage you to explore the sources we've discussed today and consider how this technology might impact your own life and the world around you. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to discover the next groundbreaking application for O1. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. So they're taking their time, making sure they get it right. That makes sense. But it's still hard not to get excited about the potential. What stood out to you from the developer reactions on social media?
Oh, there's a definite sense of awe, they're witnessing this turning point in AI development, and a lot of them are already brainstorming ways to use O1 in their own projects, which is exciting to see.
It feels like the possibilities are almost endless. And what's so fascinating to me is this chain of thought reasoning. It changes the game. Are we seeing that in other AI models right now?
Yeah. It's still a relatively new approach, and O1 is really pushing the boundaries. But what's intriguing is it doesn't rely on these massive data sets that we've, been used to seeing as the hallmark of AI training.
Newsletter mentioned that. So instead of just feeding it more data, they're training it in a more, focused, strategic way.
Exactly. It's about quality over quantity. They're teaching it to think critically, not just memorize patterns, which is a Big change from that traditional brute force approach.
That's pretty remarkable. It seems like OpenAI is really onto something special with O1 here.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what about OpenAI's own blog post? Did they shed any more light on O1?
So the blog post that you shared, it focuses on learning to reason with LLMs.
Okay.
And LLMs, those are large language models, which are basically the foundation of AI systems like O1. And it goes pretty deep into the technical aspects of how they're training these models to reason more effectively.
Okay, so
It's more for.
the us, technically minded. Really get in the weeds and understand the nuts and bolts.
Exactly.
Totally.
But even if you're not, a programmer, it's worth skimming through just to get a sense of the thought process and the research behind O1's development.
All right, so we've covered the exciting stuff, the performance, the potential applications, the chain of thought breakthrough. But what about the other side of the coin? Are there any potential downsides or concerns with something this powerful?
That's a crucial question, and it's one that OpenAI is taking very seriously.
It
They're
is.
actively working on safeguards and guidelines to ensure
Responsible development and deployment of O1. I
Yeah.
mean, this technology is still in its infancy. We're all learning as we go here. So
a healthy dose of caution is in order.
yeah, I think so.
What would you say to our listeners who might be wondering how O1 could affect their lives? I mean, the potential impact is huge. Imagine, personalized education, tailored to your exact learning style. Or faster scientific discoveries, maybe even cures for diseases that we thought were incurable. We could even see entirely new industries emerge that we can't even imagine yet.
Yeah, it is mind-boggling to think about all the ways this could change things. But with all this talk about O1's potential, it's easy to get carried away. So
Yeah.
what are some things that we should be watching for as this technology develops?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's important to remember that O1 is still a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. And OpenAI is. They're aware of this, and they're working to address those potential challenges.
So they're thinking about the ethical implications as they go.
Right.
Good. What would you say is the biggest takeaway for our listeners today?
I think the key message is that O1 represents a significant leap forward in AI. It's not just hype. It's a genuine game changer.
Yeah.
And it has the potential to really reshape so many different aspects of our lives.
Yeah. As O1 continues to evolve, it's up to all of us to stay informed, to ask the tough questions, and ensure its development aligns with our values.
Absolutely. We need to be active participants in shaping the future of AI, not just passive observers.
Well said. This deep dive has given me a lot to think about. Is there one question you'd like to leave our listeners with?
If O1 is already achieving these remarkable results in its early stages, imagine what it could be capable of. In 5, 10, even 20 years, how will it transform our world, our work, even ourselves?
That's a powerful question. And as we wrap up this deep dive on O1, we encourage you to explore the sources that we've discussed and consider how this technology might impact your own life and the world around you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.